Hello, welcome to this episode. My name is Adam, and this is the Fighting Fantasy playlist. And in today's episode, we're talking all about the Portal of Evil. Portal of Evil is book 37 in the series, and it was released in 1989. It was the first book released in 1989 for the Fighting Fantasy series. It was written by a newcomer called Peter Darville Evans, and the front illustration here was done by David Gallagher. Now, the internal illustrations, okay, which I've got to say are the best I have seen so far in the series. They're so detailed, they're so cool, and they're all done by Alan Langford, who has done other works for the Fighting Fantasy book series. But for some reason in this book, they're a lot more detailed. They're really extraordinary. Any page you turn to where there is an illustration on the book on the page, sorry, there's so much detail there. You know, they are so cool looking, and the story itself really gave Alan a sort of a good starting point to head off from for the illustrations. So let's read the internal bit and let's find out what that story is. So it says, shunned by humankind since time began, the hills and valleys between the cloud-high mountains and Lake Mulbs have begun to echo with human voices and the rhythmic sound of pickaxes. With the lure of riches beyond belief, gold fever has hit this inhospitable place. But then one shaft is dug too deep into the hillside and an ancient source of evil is unleashed and used. The consequences are terrifying as strange prehistoric creatures roam the woods and miners and their families start to disappear. Only a brave and resourceful adventurer can destroy this ancient evil before it's too late. And guess who that resourceful adventurer is? Might be you. Well, it might be you. For the first time in the series, as we dig deep into the book here and we open up to the first few pages, it describes your character, okay? Now, this is the first time this entry has appeared in the Fighting Fantasy playlist books, okay? And it kind of makes you feel like you're setting up a character rather than you playing the character, rather than you playing the person, the adventurer in the story. It kind of gets you the feeling that you're going to create your own little person who will go on the adventure. And for me, separated me a little bit from the fact that it's one of them interactive adventure books. It's new, it's different, it's not bad, and it doesn't take away from the quality of the writing, which is what I'll get to in a moment. But it's just the first time it appears in a Fighting Fantasy book. You get your map on the inside there, a nice colourful map telling you, you know, the whole area that the book is set in, which primarily is a forest. It's kind of like Forest of Doom, where you're just primarily in a forest. But you come across so many different creatures, so many different characters, that it is a lot more expanded than the Forest of Doom was. You have a section inside saying getting started, and tells you kind of gives you a heads up of what's to come. Oh, by the way, you might want to make a map and you're going to meet lots of creatures, and you know, it's again, that's the first time I've seen that in the Fighting Fantasy series books, where they kind of sort of like, you know what you're going to sort of get in these books. You know you're going to kind of come across creatures, you're going to have to fight, and you're going to have to make all these decisions and meet crazy characters. But this one just flat out says, by the way, you're going on a wild ride and you don't want to get lost, so make a map, which is kind of fun. So the story itself, I mean, is really there is no story, okay? It's set in a forest. There are dinosaurs roaming around, and you're going to be going around and you're going to come across these dinosaurs in this forest. You're going to come across people. It's really a lot like Skyrim, okay, in the fact that you head off into the world and you just make general choices, sort of how you live. Like, oh, will I camp over here, or will I go meet that person, or will I follow this person? So there is kind of like no one end level boss that I'm aware of. I didn't finish the book completely. I've gone through probably about halfway through the book. But it is a real interesting read. I really did enjoy playing this, and definitely would be going back to it. In fact, probably right after I finish this video, to be fair. It is really fun to read. So I highly recommend it. If you're looking into collecting these books, if you're looking into have the collection, this one you want to definitely track down. It's probably not one of the ones that you'll find at the charity shops. You know, it's probably a very popular book. So you probably have to pay like, you know, between 5 and 10 quid for it online. But it's definitely worth picking up. Stories are great. The artwork is beautiful, and it's a classic entry into the series. So next week, so that's it for this episode. So if you've got any comments, put them in the description box below for your adventures with this book. Let me know how you got on with this book. And in next week's episode, Vault of the Vampire. Okay, so that one's going to be next week's episode. I'll see you all next week, guys. All right, take care. Bye bye.